Hello everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Real Threads. I am Suzzanne Cromwell, co-founder of the Lowell Film Collaborative.
My name is Brett Cromwell. I am the other co-founder of the Lowell Film Collaborative, and we'd like to start by thanking everyone from the Threads show for allowing us to be on here and sharing our love of film with those of you in the Lowell area.
That's right. So we actually, Brett and I, co-founded the Lowell Film Collaborative in 2008. We wanted to bring some independent cinema here to the city of Lowell, and we did so by forming this, an organization that we feel is grassroots and has a lot of really great support right now. We've been doing it for a few years. So we actually screen films in and around the Lowell area, given that we don't have an independent theater here. And we have made a lot of great friends along the way, and we're really glad that you're tuning in because we have a lot of movie talk to dive into. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a little introduction on the Lowell Film Collaborative.
We'll actually share with you at the end of the of our segment here some of our upcoming events. So please stay tuned for those specific Lowell area events that we have coming up in the next month or two.
Yep. We actually have notes, so if you see us looking down, we're not being rude. We're trying to stay on schedule here. So we're going to kick off this segment with a really, really exciting annual event that is coming up. It's not coming up in Lowell, very sorry to say, but
there's a Lowell area connection.
There is a Lowell area local connection to it, and that is the 39th annual 24-hour science fiction movie marathon, which takes place in Somerville at the Somerville Theater. And not just the 24-hour movie marathon, which takes place over President's Day weekend, but also leading up to that marathon is going to be the Boston Science Fiction Film Festival. And I have to say, the reason that we're mentioning this is a couple of reasons. First of all, I've actually been going to the festival since the late 80s. And so it's been a long time, and I've been a long-time fan of the science fiction genre and this festival. So I'm very excited to be able to give it a little plug because it's really dear to my heart. Brett has actually been.
I've been roped in a couple of times.
Oh, maybe two times,
twice.
Yes.
One time I was rather ill, so it was very difficult to make it through the whole 24 hours. But the last time I went, I was able to sit in a theater for 24 hours straight and watch film after film after film is difficult enough. But when you add in the fact that they're all science fiction and they tend to get more and more bizarre and obscure as the evening goes on, makes it even more interesting.
It's phenomenal.
For those of you who are fans of the genre, I would definitely recommend. It is a unique experience that you can fully relish in your nerddom, and you have plenty of light company to share it with. So.
Absolutely. It's a really great crowd. So the 39th Marathon is coming up. Again, this is going to be President's Day weekend, February 16th through 17th, Sunday to Monday. But starting on February 7th, leading up to the 24-hour marathon, is the Boston Science Fiction Film Festival. And we're very excited to say that a local film filmed in
the Chelmsford area.
Filmed in the Chelmsford area is going to be opening the Boston Science Fiction Film Festival. Folks, this is huge.
Yes, it
big.
is.
This is big.
And I'll tell you what's really huge about it is Brett and Suzzanne Cromwell from the Lowell Film Collaborative are actually in the film.
The movie.
So we play the interrogators.
We don't give too much away.
Yeah,
but we're in it. We do play interrogators.
The film is made by a friend of ours, Matt Scott, and he is with the Chelmsford Telemedia. He's the director of the Chelmsford Telemedia,
which is the
sister station
to LTC here.
So Matt approached us to be part of this film, and of course we could not resist because he told us it was science fiction, and told us that he knew we would do well. So we decided that we'd give it a shot, and we really enjoyed ourselves, and we're so excited for this movie to be part of the opening night festivities. So we're actually going to take a brief break here, and we're actually going to show you a trailer for this film. It's called The Nigerian Frequency, and here's the trailer, so enjoy.
So you were hoping to sell friends to people who were lonely.
You are looking good, my man.
It's not that simple. This is a revolution.
A lot of what's going on is stuff we have no control over.
This is not just about relationships. There's something else going on.
You're hilarious, Frank. You're a very funny man, Frank.
A joke is not funny when no one is laughing.
There's more going on, that's obvious.
I told you, there is no off button. There is no end to this.
Do you have a friend who will be there for you anytime, any place, anywhere? Do you have a friend you can trust?
I have a friend. His name is Davu Agabi. He lives in the Niger River Valley. He likes cold beer, potatoes, and fish. I fear the government may be after him. Dogs have been following his mule.
So, that is the trailer for Nigerian Frequency, and let me just say one thing, okay? That trailer only scratches the surface of how truly unique this film is. It is definitely...
Brett likes to say it's a midnight movie. Even
it is a midnight cult film.
It's not going to show at midnight,
sure. But we strongly encourage anyone in the Lowell area that is interested in sci-fi and interested in the Sci-Fi Film Festival and in local
and wants
film,
to support local film, to please
come to this
out.
opening and check our website for further information about it. And we're so excited for this film to be opening the festival. There's such a cool connection there. So
absolutely, absolutely. So we again will announce our website at the end of the segment. So that way we can do a little wrap up and announce where you can find more information on that. You can find information on this Boston Science Fiction Film Festival at bostonsci-fi.com. I think that's it. Alrighty, that's awesome. So please come, support local film, support me, support Brett. We'd love to have you. Now we're going to head on to another segment we love to do. We have some recommendations. So
yeah, we love movies. We watch films all the time, and we would love to share some of our recent finds with all of you out there. And we watch on Netflix streaming most of our stuff, but in this day and age, there's Amazon, there's iTunes, there's Hulu, so there's a lot of places you can get these films. But we tend to still kind of go to the old standby Netflix, of which I've been a member since 2000. I'll have you know. Anyway,
plug.
But I'll have Suze talk about the first film because it was one of our favorite movies from last year, and it's a personal favorite of hers. So. Go ahead, take it.
All right, it's a personal favorite of mine. I've seen it a bazillion times now. I've probably seen it a handful of times. It has been a while though. It is called Holy Motors, and holy bejeez, it's amazing.
Talk about midnight movie.
Talk about midnight movie. I would love to tell you what the movie is about, but I don't know what it's about, even though I've seen it several times.
I would actually say that the less
what do you think
know,
it's about?
I would say the less you know about it, all I would say is to go into it with an open mind. It is very much
awesome.
it's what I would call kind of an art film, not an abstract film. It's not when I say art film, some people are like, ooh, But this is actually there is a coherent storyline to some degree. But it's a single actor who portrays different characters throughout the film, and it's a French film, so we should probably say that as well, because some people not so crazy about subtitles and whatnot. It's a French film, and for anyone who is into foreign film, the French know how to make really cool, unique movies, and this is at the top of my list.
If anything, this is a visual feast. Seriously, you can just put it on, let it go. Experience, let it wash over you. Experience the music, experience the visuals. The acting is amazing. There is very little dialogue in it, I can say. There is dialogue and there is a script and there is a story there. And fortunately, all of us get to actually experience the movie in different ways, depending on what we think is going on in the film. I hope we've left it enough of a mystery for you that you're like, oh my God, what is this movie? Because here it is, Holy Motors. And holy moly, it's on Blu-ray. It's on Blu-ray. So if you have a Blu-ray player, get it on Blu-ray. I think we've really exhausted that one. But go see that.
But it's a nice
segue
into our next film. To be honest with you, our next film is not entirely different than Holy Motors. It is different, but it has a similar sort of it's difficult to describe. It's more what I would call in the sci-fi vein, but it is
An
eco film, but it's a beautifully made film. It's called Upstream Color. It's available on Netflix streaming. It was directed by a gentleman who also directed the film Primer about 6 or 7 years ago. For anyone who saw Primer, it's actually a very low-budget time travel movie, which was complicated, sort of in a pie, if you saw the movie Pi, sort of in a pie kind of way. A lot of jargon, a lot of sort of over-the-head jargon around time travel. Upstream Color is very cerebral, but in a different way. There's almost no dialogue. There is a fascinating storyline that weaves through it, but it's very interpretive. I mean, I think from what I've read online, different people take different things away from it, and I would try and not do too much research about it before you watch it. And again, sort of similar to Holy Motors, go into it with an open mind, let it wash over you, and you will want to watch it more than once. Because
Absolutely.
the first time when you get done, you'll just be completely flabbergasted, and you'll want. From what some of the things I've read have said, I didn't know if I liked it or not. I just knew that I wanted to see it again because this is after the first time. And then the more you watch it, the more you really begin to appreciate it. So that's Upstream Color. I'll let
Very
Sue take over for the next
non-traditional film.
bizarre recommendation.
So our next recommendation, I don't know, well, we mentioned it on our last segment, our first segment when we did Real Threads. We mentioned that we are absolute horror buffs, and our next film falls right into that genre. It's called Sightseers. And so for anyone who enjoys horror, for anyone who likes the thrill of the shock, the thrill of the kill, literally, Sightseers.
It's another midnight movie.
Sightseers
is another midnight movie.
is definitely a film that you can consider a midnight movie. Nice violence, really, really smart violence.
What does that mean?
It's well,
Smart
there's
violence.
brains behind the violence. There's a lot of thought behind it. So Sightseers actually just really briefly follows two sightseers who are on a road trip, and that's it. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah,
so
you don't want to reveal too much.
I'm not going to reveal anything
it's
at all.
Definitely a you got to see it to
You gotta
believe
see it to believe
kind of
it.
thing. It is violent. Like
It is
she
violent.
said.
It's violent,
It's a
but
violent
it's
film.
it's smart. And it's got a great soundtrack. So Sightseers is our horror recommendation. Phenomenal, fantastic. That one's also on Netflix.
It is on streaming.
Streaming.
As
Yep.
is the final movie that we have for streaming that we know of. This is one that is actually on some people's top 10 lists from 2013. It's called What Maisie Knew. It's probably the most normal film that we've recommended so far, although I will also say that it is not the most uplifting film.
I
but
haven't seen it.
It's beautifully realistic. It's actually, it stars Peter, the Sarsgaard son who's in True Blood. I can't think of his first. No, that's the father. Can't think of his name, but the guy, the Skarsgård who's in True Blood, and also Julianne Moore, and also Steve Coogan, who's one of our favorite actors.
Love
He's
Steve
a British
Coogan.
actor. So actually, Steve Coogan and Julianne Moore play parents who are very self-absorbed, and they have successful careers, and their marriage is sort of falling apart, and their daughter, who's about 4 or 5 years old, gets caught in the back and forth between the parents. And the daughter is beautifully played by a very young actress who's probably 4 or 5 years old. And she doesn't say much, but the depth that's portrayed in her face in these, as she gets caught in these battles, is just unbelievable. It's very heartbreaking, but it's a beautiful film, and it's not unrealistic. I mean, this is what happens in this day and age. Unfortunately, children do get caught in these kind of back and forths.
And the neat thing we were talking about, or at least, I actually don't really know the breadth of Steve Coogan's work, but most of the work we've seen has been comedic. And Steve Coogan is, as y'all might know, is an amazing British comedic actor. And I haven't seen the film. I do need to see it, but I was really elated to hear that this was a dramatic role for him, because he's absolutely amazing. That
so
sounds
those are our recommendations for the films that we are certain are on Netflix streaming. We actually have a few other recommendations that we've watched through through DVD. But
Maybe we should take a break.
yes, we should probably take.
We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll just go over a couple of other films that we really enjoyed, and then we're going to just dive into a wrap-up, so that way folks can know what the Lowell Film Collaborative has coming up for the year. All right, so we'll see you soon. Come back. All right, we're back from the break. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Real Threads, and I'm Suzzanne Cromwell.
And I'm Brett Cromwell, and we are the Lowell Film Collaborative. Before the break, we shared some of our recommendations with you around movies that we think you might like based on things that we've seen recently. And now we want to take just a couple of minutes to make one more recommendation, but also to tell you a little bit about some of the local events that we have coming up. So we'll start with a recommendation for a film that's not quite ready for prime time just yet, but it's been several years in the making, and it is a fabulous looking film, and there is a local connection here in that this is a Cambodian film, and it is basically a documentary about pre-Khmer Rouge Cambodian pop music. The movie's called Don't Think I've Forgotten. It's directed by John Parazzi, and Suzzanne actually contacted John a couple of years ago. He's, you know, as anyone who's familiar with independent film knows, it's not always easy to get the funding that you need to create a film, especially something that requires this much research, which basically is what happened. He had to do a lot of research. He
Obviously went to Cambodia.
Right, and he had to actually learn a lot before he even knew where to go. So the film is completed. There was a recent screening in Phnom Penh, actually, and there is an article in the Phnom Penh Post. So if you do a Google search for Don't Think I've Forgotten Phnom Penh, you'll most likely be able to pull up the article, which tells a lot about the film and the recent screening that they had, and it's fantastic. I'm sure there's a website for the film itself as well.
Right, they've got a Facebook page, Don't Think I've Forgotten. Hit their Facebook page. Actually have a lot of updates on their Facebook page. But we really want to have it here in Lowell. We want to have a little premiere. And a couple of years ago when I was in touch with John, he was in the middle of post-production, and they had just finished their Kickstarter, or they actually did a couple of fundraisers. And he was very, very interested in having a Lowell premiere. And now that a couple of years have gone by, we want to reach back out to him, and we want to see if he want to do that. So please stay tuned to our website, again, which we'll announce at the end of the segment. And we'd love to have you join us for the Lowell premiere of Don't Think I've Forgotten. We'll keep everyone posted on our website and on our Facebook page. And so now we want to do a wrap-up. We want to just let folks know what we have coming up for our local events. As some of you know, or hopefully if you don't know, you learned in this segment that we are film buffs, and we actually screen movies here in the city with a lot of partners in the city, and we do have some things coming up. So I would probably say primarily we have 2 screening partners that we're going to be working with in the next few weeks and months. The Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust, and which we are actually launching a 2014 eco-film series, which is the second eco-film series we've had with Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust. They're absolutely amazing, and
Especially Jane Calvin.
Especially Jane Calvin. And
full of ideas.
Gwen.
Yes, of course. And Gwen.
Both Jane and Gwen are phenomenal, and we actually partner with Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust and Lowell National Historical Park to bring the Ecofilm series to Lowell. So we actually have our first film of the series is a 6-part series called The Island President. We'll have trailers and information on our website on this, but The Island President, these are all eco-minded films. The Island President, unlike all of the other ones we are going to show, though, is a documentary that unfolds like a narrative. It's absolutely incredible, true-to-life movie that has a lot of twists and turns and a lot of drama, and we just want to make sure that you are aware that that's coming up. That's January 29th. A week before that, on January 21st, we're going to partner with, oh my goodness, Angkor Dance Troupe. Partnering with Angkor Dance Troupe.
We've actually already had one screening in 2013, and we have 2 more coming up in 2014. This will be the next one.
Yep, Monkey Dance. On January 21st, we'll be screening Monkey Dance with Angkor Dance Troupe at the National Park. And on April 23rd, we're actually going to leap forward into April, and we're going to screen a fabulous back-to-back show of 2 short films that focus on the projectionist, or the lost projectionist. As a lot of you might know, this is what...
Anyone remember this?
This is what we all used to be able to see
Way back
in the
in the
theaters.
day, back in 2013, people used to use film.
Well,
Not anymore.
projectionists are no longer, basically. Maybe in some
They're
art house,
projectionists, but they just push a button now.
maybe. A lot of art house cinemas still have a projectionist or two. They are quickly being phased out. We're going to dedicate our April 23rd film program to the projectionist, the lost projectionist that doesn't exist anymore. So,
And this is a partnership with the Parker Lecture Series, who've always been so kind to us, and Paul Lappin has always approached us to be part of this series, and we think it's a
Very good.
fantastic partnership. So.
Yep. I think that, boy, that's a lot. We've got a little bit of time to say goodbye. So now, let's tell everybody where they can get some information. Where can they go to get information?
Yes, they're probably boiling over with anticipation. LowellFilmCollaborative.org is
Yep.
where you can find all the latest updates. You can sign up for our email list
Yep.
where you can get regular updates via email. We have a Facebook group that's got about 500 people following us, so we're all over the place. Suzzanne is Lowell Film Girl with no I, GRL.
On Twitter.
On Twitter, so all the regular channels for updates. We don't have an Instagram account, but that's okay. We're just a film group. We don't necessarily need an Instagram account for that. So.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you
We
so much for
appreciate it.
tuning in. Thank you to LTC. Thank you to all the producers of Real Threads. It's really, really a real treat to be here. So I'm Suzzanne Cromwell,
I'm Brett Cromwell.
and we thank you for joining in, and we hope you continue to watch some really good movies.